Hello again, welcome back to my channel and my new backdrop. Ooh, so exciting, I'm so excited. I definitely am not finished with it yet. The background still needs to be tweaked and my lighting needs to be tweaked and possibly my audio. I'm not sure if this room is going to be very echoey or not, but I'm very excited. Yay! Anyway, enough of that. This video is all about covering up acne or blemishes. At the moment, my skin is having a bit of a fit. I don't know what is up. Honestly, they're not like the ones that come to the surface. They just stay beneath the skin and irritate the crap out of me. I have no idea what is causing them, but I hope whatever it is decides to just play nice for a little bit at least, because these ones are really hard to get rid of and they just stay around forever. With that being said, it is a perfect opportunity for me to film a video on how to cover them, because I do have quite a few little tips and tricks that have helped me a lot and that will cover your spots the most naturally and use the least amount of makeup. Okay, so let's start with the base. So when you have a spot, if you're anything like me and probably 90% of the other women on this planet or men, you would want to try and pop it to get rid of it as quick as possible. I'm not going to tell you not to, because let's be honest, I do it and I know it's just something that everyone does regardless of if it's really bad for your skin or not, because it is very bad for your skin and it does leave marks and scars and stuff. But I'm being realistic here and I'm telling you guys what I do at home. So obviously it might not be technically correct, but it's realistic and whatever. So when we pop the pimples, they tend to get like a scab, or the skin gets dry and flaky, and it's very obvious that you've either had a spot, you've picked at the spot, or the spot is healing. So basically you've got a spot. Not want to try and get rid of the scab before it's ready, so don't do it like the next day. Give it at least a couple of days to kind of actually heal underneath. But then don't get rid of the scab when, this is actually really disgusting. I'm talking about scabs on my YouTube channel. Alright, new low. I'm kidding. You don't want to get rid of a scab when it's dry, when the skin is dry, because it's just, I think it hurts a bit more, it causes a bit more damage and pulls off more of the skin. So what I like to do is to grab a little pea-sized amount of moisturizer. I like to just plonk it on the spot, let it soak in a little bit, and then this actually softens the skin and makes it kind of just really, really easily peel off without having to kind of actually like crack it off. So you just peel it off, that way you're removing it nice and cleanly with the least amount of damage, obviously only if the spot is ready to be peeled off. Ugh, this is so disgusting. It's just like talking about like the birds and the bees, like you just gotta talk about it. It's just real life. Alright, so now that we've done that, mine are all underneath the skin, so I can't even get rid of them if I try. We are going to start off with the very, very heavily debated question, which is foundation or concealer first. So I like to apply foundation before I apply my concealer, and the reason for that mainly is because when I apply my foundation first, that foundation is actually going to cover up a lot of the redness caused by that spot. This means that I use less concealer and I have less product on my face, because if I went in with a concealer first and then foundation and then concealer over the top, because I find that when you put foundation over concealer, the concealer tends to just rub off anyway because of the pressure of the brush when you're applying foundation. So you kind of just, instead of going concealer, foundation, concealer, I like to go foundation, concealer, which just makes a lot more sense for me. And another big plus of that is that you're putting less makeup on your face and less makeup on that spot, because let's face it, that spot is trying to heal. It doesn't want to be laid with layers and layers and layers of foundation and powder and product. It just wants to breathe. It wants to breathe. So that's why I like to apply foundation and then concealer. For today's purposes, I'm going to use the L'Oreal Infallible Stay Fresh Foundation 24-hour foundation. These are probably my two favorite foundations at the Mo. Obviously L'Oreal True Match, I'm not even gonna bother going into it because you all know and you're all probably sick of me talking about it. But Infallible is awesome, beautiful coverage, great color, pretty long wearing, and it's just a really nice flawless finish. So it's been a recent favorite of mine. Okay, so I thought I was filming and apparently I was not. So I just applied the foundation, and yes, I know it does look yellow at the moment, but it's only because of my lighting. It actually is like a perfect shade when I'm Looking in my little mirror, I like to start my foundation on my cheeks and then work my way inwards, which is actually the opposite way that I was taught. I was taught to apply the foundation in the T-zone and then work your way out towards the cheeks. This is good if you have flawless skin and you don't need coverage on your cheeks, but let's be real, a lot of us do. If you're like me, my T-zone is relatively clear, but my cheeks aren't, so I have to kind of reverse the steps. Usually I will just go in with a bit more foundation and then just add it onto those particular areas of concern so that I'm not adding a whole layer of foundation to my whole face. I'm only adding the extra coverage in certain areas, so I'm limiting the amount of product on my face. So next step is obviously concealer. I'll be using the Maybelline Fit Me concealer in 25 medium. Honestly, normally on a day-to-day basis, I actually wouldn't add any concealer because foundation is meant to be covering up redness and uneven skin tone and that kind of thing. So I'm just going to apply some like there, little spot there, and I'll apply a little dot there. So the trick with concealer is that you need to find a shade that is the exact same color as your foundation or as your skin tone. So if you choose a concealer that is too light, it is going to highlight the spot and draw attention to it because it's lighter than the rest of your face. And if you choose one that is too dark, it's going to make the spot look more red and more sore and inflamed because already the spot looks dark on your skin because it is red and it's showing through the foundation. So if you add a dark concealer, you're just kind of emphasizing that. So you want to stick with a shade that is the exact same color as your foundation. Now I'm just going to use my finger and very gently dab this in. So now that we're done with concealing the spot, it is time to powder. Now, if you go ahead and use a big brush like this to powder your face when you've got spots and you've carefully concealed those spots, you're just going to take off the concealer and it kind of defeats the purpose, to be honest. Which is why I like to use a brush like this. This is the Bobbi Brown Eye Blender brush. Now the reason I want to use a small brush like this before I set my whole entire face is because I can set the particular spot first, which means that I'm, you know, kind of setting it down and like, how do I explain it? Like locking it in place before I go and powder the rest of my face with a huge brush. I'm going to use the NARS Translucent Crystal Light Reflecting Setting Powder. This is good because it is translucent. You do not want to be using a powder that has a very strong color to it, because I found that using a powder that has quite a strong color to it or as an actual powder foundation alters the shade of the blemish. So if you do want to use a powder that you use for the rest of your face, then by all means go ahead and do that. But make sure that it is the exact same color as your foundation, if not a tiny little bit lighter, because I have found that using powders, they tend to go a little bit darker when they're on top of concealers and liquid products. Woo, this is a lot of information. I'm just going to dab that over the spot. Apply as much powder as you like. It literally does not matter. Any of the excess will just be brushed off when we powder the rest of our face. Now I'm going to set the rest of my face using the NARS Pressed Powder in Beach. And even though we've already set that spot, it is much safer to press the powder into your skin rather than going like this, especially if some of the brush is a little bit dry or doesn't have powder on it. The liquid foundation or cream or concealer or any kind of liquid foundation-y product tends to stick to the bristles, so you're kind of removing the product as you try to set your face. So I find that it helps to kind of push the powder in. If you don't like a matte finish like I do, then of course you don't have to powder the rest of your face, just try and powder those particular spots. So obviously I just did my eyebrows, but I just wanted to show you quickly how my face looks after those steps. So you can see, I still see a little bit of, you know, redness around here, but these spots are like deep beneath my skin. And the only real way to get rid of that is to just layer and layer and layer and layer. But then even then, it kind of looks cakey and it looks kind of obvious. So I think there's only a certain level of coverage you can achieve from makeup, but that's pretty good for me. I'm pretty happy with that. This side looks great. You can't really tell that I had any spots. My chin looks fine and I'm happy. So that is how the finished makeup looks. This wasn't a makeup tutorial, that's why I didn't want to show you the whole makeup look because the video would be way too long. I know my foundation does look like it's the wrong shade. It's a perfect shade in my actual mirror. These lights are so frustrating. They like emphasize the yellow tones in my foundation, but just gotta trust me on this one. It's the right shade. Anyway, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day and I will see you all very soon. Bye.